So we're with Paula Aungier, the author of God's Secrets Revealed. And Paula, in the first chapter, you talk about heaven um, and where it is and your experiences of it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You say that you asked your guardian angel to show you what heaven was like and if it existed. Talk to us about that.
That's right, yeah. At the time, I was 33 years of age, and I wasn't sure myself if heaven actually existed because at that time I was slowly converting and becoming more aware of God and the supernatural because I had been an atheist before that. And I kept begging my guardian angel to show me what heaven would be like because I didn't understand when people would be saying that it's so much more beautiful in this world. I couldn't understand that because I'd only ever seen this world before that. So one day I was out walking and I wasn't thinking of anything in particular. And suddenly in front of me, the whole road was shimmering in a beautiful hue of blue that I've never seen before in my life. And I was just staring in amazement at it, and it was shimmering and it looked totally alive, and I'd never seen anything like it before in my life. And I just continued on my walk, and then I was wondering all the time would it still be there when I came back. And it was. I was delighted to see it again. I was just amazed that it was there. I couldn't understand where a colour like that had come from before. So then I went back the next day to see was it still there, and I could see it was still there, but part of it had disappeared totally, and the rest of it was still there as before. It looked totally beautiful. And then it just began to dawn on me, I wonder, is this what heaven actually could be like? Because I've never seen anything before, and at that time I'd been praying to my guardian angel that I would see part of heaven, and then I realised that this must be it, that it's much more beautiful in this world and much more alive. And then I could understand what people were talking about then when they would say that heaven was much more beautiful than this world. So I was very pleased with my guardian angel then.
Okay, and then a year later, you experienced a very unusual occurrence involving a deceased relative, Uncle Johnny. Explain what that was about. What happened there, please?
That was right. At that time I wasn't actually praying to see heaven, but suddenly one night I found myself in front of my uncle, and he was totally alive. I'd never experienced anything like that before in my life either. And he just looked amazing. He looked, because the last time after he died, about 15 years before, he was very ill looking and very old and very overweight. And when I saw him, he was just bubbling over with enthusiasm. He looked just great. He looked slim, his hair was totally black, and he looked just great. And he actually transmitted a message to me saying that he cares deeply about me and that he's totally overjoyed to see me at this time. And then at that point I looked around me to see where I was, and I could see my other deceased relatives from the same family. One was sitting behind me, Uncle Dom, and my grandparents were to my right. They were both standing, and I could feel anticipation from them all. And then I understood I was actually in heaven. And then my uncle transmitted another message to me telling me that I was actually in heaven. And I said, this is all I'm allowed to see in heaven and experience at this time.
Okay. Um, Various saints and holy people have had visions or claim to have had visions of heaven. In particular, you mentioned the Venerable Anne Catherine Emmerich and Saint Faustina. Um, where is heaven?
Venerable Anne Catherine Emmerich states that it is actually in an easterly direction from the Earth. It is in our solar system, but we can't get to it, it's so far away. It's actually at a point under the sunrise, and that's very interesting because when the visionaries of Medjugorje say that Our Lady leave them, she goes up into the air and then she actually turns in an easterly direction always. So I find those two correlations very interesting.
Okay, great. Well, next week we're going to talk about hell, and I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks again, Paula.